Everybody, today I want to talk to you about a life well lived. Look at the life of Joseph. The biblical book of Genesis ends in chapter 50 with Joseph, one of the two youngest sons of Israel, dying at the age of 110 years of age, before all his older brothers. And I thought that interesting. Thought it's interesting from the perspective that how does the youngest die before his older brothers? But today I'm going to show you why Joseph died, seemingly prematurely before his older brothers, and how you and I can accomplish a life well lived. Let's get started. Everybody, welcome back to Reason for Truth. I'm your host, Stephen Garofalo. You know, truth comes first, reasons come last, but we're always and constantly learning and studying, because when we stop learning, we stop teaching, or at least stop teaching well, and we're not going to have that. None of that. Make sure, by the way, please hit that subscribe button. Great way to support us at no cost. Join my community, StephenGarofalo.com. There's a little paywall. You can get around it, slip around it. I'm on the Locals channel. You could always support us later. Once you go in there and check it out, you find value, you can support our efforts there. Listen, we should all have the goal of living life well for the Lord, according to His ways and His will, but leave our lifespan to Him. Right? I think everyone's always trying to expand life. You see these different things on earth. Hey, you could live forever. Nobody wants to die young. We want to live in good health as long as we can. But listen, if we leave our lifespan in God's hands, we're going to work hard to serve Him and others and accomplish a great legacy. Listen, a legacy is going to last an entire lifetime and really into eternity. I think about Dwight L. Moody's Sunday school teacher. Nobody knows who that guy is. He led Dwight L. Moody to Christ, and Dwight L. Moody changed the lives of probably millions of people by now. I always wondered why my parents' and grandparents' generation lived only until the mid-60s. You know, shifting gears here. The answer could be delivered by the fact by we have better medical support in our modern world. Furthermore, this generation, they work with their hands, meaning physical bodies, as opposed to being on computers all day, which beats the heck out of you anyways, your mind and your back. But they avoided the elements. You know, when it was 5 degrees outside, they didn't have to go dig ditches. Or that's what they did. You know, my grandfather, during the Great Depression, worked for the sanitation department. Yeah, garbage man. Yeah, that had been easy in New York City in the dead of winter. And, my father ended up becoming an engineer, worked for the Department of the Navy. And then he had a heart attack. Why is that? You know, he was young. Well, that gets into diet and stress, and then he didn't take advantage of the medical treatment that wasn't as refined as it is today. But you could see why we live longer now. We live more posh lives. I just finished the book of Genesis and noticed that Joseph's at the very end, he died at the age of 110, while his older brothers went on to live much longer. And I said, that just popped out of me. So why was this the case? Well, as I said before, in a nutshell, Joseph died before his brothers simply because as the ruler of Egypt, he had assumed a great deal of life-sapping public service, and he passed away 10 years sooner as a result. He could have lived longer if he didn't have such a stressful job. I think people think that, people in positions of authority have an easy life. And to be honest with you, for a lot of the politicians, they do, because they're not tied to a bottom line. The government just prints up more money. But if you're head of a corporation, there's all kinds of stress on you, okay? So let's talk about the weightiness of responsibility. This is really what I want to talk about today. Joseph's, son of Jacob, Israel, rose to become the second most powerful person in Egypt. I don't care what you say. That's a stressful position. Listen, Pharaoh's good to him, gave him great opportunity. It comes with a lot of stress because he has to produce. You can't just get there and go, oh, yeah, I got this great position to do a crummy job. You know, maybe a lot of government positions are like that, as we've seen, but not here. You know, this comes with a great deal of pressure for him, responsibility, stress, and work. So Rabbi Shammah, C-H-A-M-A, in a commentary, he suggested that Joseph's death at a younger age was linked to the burden of his role as second in command to the ruler of Egypt. Such a role most likely took 10 years off his life. Genesis 50, starting in verse 22, says, So Joseph remained in Egypt, he and his father's house. Joseph lived 110 years, and Joseph saw Ephraim's children to the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were counted as Joseph's own. Remember that. conversation. And Joseph said to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land, the land that he sworn to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob. Then Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. So Joseph died, being 110 years old. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. Genesis 50 to 22, 26. And I think it took roughly, I'm going off memory, 45 days. That process is a long process. But he was embalmed, and by the way, only the wealthy could have a lengthy embalmment. They did embalm other people, regular people, some of them were, but they're embalmed, depending on how long, and the longer, the better, put it that way. So if you got embalmed in 3 days, you got a 3-day embalmment, right? You didn't get a 45-day embalmment, and where they took all your organs out, it's, kind of, you freeze-dried you, I guess, in a sense. As I reflect on this story, though, I'm reminded of the president and the owner of the past client of mine, of a president of the company, Mr. Paul Souza, great man, very good man. Mr. Paul Souza was good to me through employing me, giving me the opportunity to bring my wife home so she can homeschool, raise our 3 children. But Mr. Souza said to me a year before he retired that, listen, he says, Stephen, I can protect you for another year but the parent company will come in, obviously, and buy him out. He says, I can't help you after that. I can't guarantee anything for you. I look back at that generation. You don't see that today. What a godly man. The 3 things that struck me about working for Mr. Souza were, number 1, his commitment to the excellence and kindness and his employees for me, and for more than a decade, me personally. Many of their employees have been there decades. That's a value, that's a biblical value. That comes from the biblical ethic. Number 2 is character. Once he left, I was let go. My cutthroat manager came in. He didn't even give me 1 day's notice. He just said, good, thank you for your service. Don't show up for work on Monday. Now I was a contractor with him. But seriously, Mr. Souza's character was strong, it was good, and he was generous. So that's number 2. Number 3, 2 years after Mr. Souza retired, he moved to Florida. He said, Steve, I'm going to go and play, tennis and enjoy myself. And he had worked hard. He had ran that and built that company 46 years. So moved to Florida to spend time with his family, his kids and grandkids, play tennis. And 2 years later, he had a heart attack. He passed away. I'll never forget that. I can't seem to shake that. He died before his time, if you ask me. Just like Joseph. He went before he was supposed to. But what did Mr. Souza and Joseph have in common? They were both top decision makers over large organizations. Joseph was, big over governmental, but Mr. Souza over a sizable company, okay? An organization as a, both of them had a lot of stress on them. So each day as we awake, let's tell our wife or husband and our children and all our friends, right? And even our employees, how much we love and appreciate them. Let's also appreciate those who manage well. Not everyone does. Matter of fact, most don't. So I'm not speaking to the lazy and political leaders that zap out the life of everyone around them or gives them money to become just, in the government case, to become non-productive and waste the gifts and the time God has given them in this life to do something great for him and for themselves. So that's everyone else, while they get the big money at times and title without work, I'm speaking about Joseph and Mr. Souza, and who truly serve their organization and all its employees for the betterment in everybody's life. And even though in Joseph's case, he ended up owning all their land and their labor, them as servants, at the end he saved their life. So let's keep in mind the biblical model is provided by God for us through the book of Genesis, showing us that Joseph, one of the 2 youngest sons of Israel, dying prematurely at the age of 110 years of age, before his older brothers, said, listen, these things happen, and that being at the top's not all it's cracked up to be. A lot of responsibility, a lot of stress, and it's going to take some years off your life. So the takeaway for all of us should be the goal of living life well for the Lord and for ourselves and for our family and for those around us. It's not about being famous. Leave our lifespan to God. And if we do that, we can work hard, serve hard, play hard, love hard, and accomplish a legacy that will last a lifetime, always into eternity. And I think that's more important. People are going to know you. Listen, everyone leaves a legacy. Question is you can leave a good one or a bad one. Anyways, that being said, my legacy is here with you. Hopefully someone will take something back and make betterment and glorify God for it. And then there in his name for all things good. And that's my hope. Do a couple things if you would. Subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate this. Hit the little subscribe button. It supports us, no cost to you. And we really appreciate that. Secondly, really like to see it in our community. StephenGarofalo.com. You have to download the Locals app, but you can get around the payroll and join for free. You're just not going to get the podcast on audio 1 or 2 or 3 days early, which happens. But anyways, that being said, you'll get everything else, and you can support us if you like us. That's the way I like to run that community. So God's blessings to you. We'll see you over there. And let's make sure that we keep in mind that life is short. Let's tell others we love them. Let's tell God we love him, be in his word, and serve him wildly in this lifetime, this short span of time that goes by, trust me, quickly. So that's all I got to say. I'm your host, Stephen Garofalo. This is your Reason for Truth for today.